1,574, about to burn the midnight oil. It's been, okay, I have so much to tell you, so much breaking news. This is day 1,574 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. Maybe I'm being shadow banned because I say that every time. Premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss, code red, internal, his own command, and the U.S. Army absolutely left him behind, right? Left him behind in pieces, in pieces. And then in April 24, 2020, April 24th, 2024, they, because of our investigations, not because they wanted to, okay, because of our investigations and the evidence that we filed so much evidence. And this is why we put a cease and desist on Bob Moore, because he didn't acknowledge, well, he's working for those that are up to no good. Okay, that's clear now too. That's clear now. So the media is up to no good. We know that, and Bob Moore is one of them, and he's totally discredited. He's discussed and dishonest, and but that is why, um, you know, um, why we why we continued to file and file and file, because Richard was reporting. Richard was code redded by his own, and the U.S. Army left him behind, and they even retaliated against us. They retaliated against us in so many ways, and they retaliated, of course, against the key whistleblower witness, Judge Roger Rodriguez, and it all connects to the Walmart mass shooting with Joe Spencer, carrying out this terrible orchestration against Patrick Crusius. The evidence are the audios that we have, all the evidence, the picture evidence, there's so much massive evidence on the Walmart mass shooting. And if you just look a little bit and read a little bit, you absolutely know that there's no possible way that Patrick Crusius could have ever done it, and that we really need to get to the bottom of it, with because we have received information now that he was working at Cinemark. Okay, so this whole application, it's very important, that application that we received and we posted, because it shows that when they applied for counsel for Joe Spencer, for that open wallet, that open checkbook. So he says in the audio recording he wanted an open checkbook. For that open checkbook, you can't have a client that, just has a limited amount of resources, right? You can't have a client like that. And even Patrick Crusius and the Crusius family, the Wood Crusius family, even though they are well off, that is still um, a limited checkbook. It's not an open checkbook. It's a limited resource. And so in order to get that open checkbook, I don't want the nickels and dimes. I want the open checkbook. So says, that's a quote, Joe Spencer. And sorry, it's been a long day. I need to get some water. Um, and Joe Spencer wanted that open checkbook, and they filled out that application, whoever filled that application out, and they put down 0.0000000 net worth for Patrick Crusius. and he was working at Cinemark. Okay. So he had a car. You could say, oh, that's his mom's car or whatever. Um, but he had a computer. Oh, whose computer was that? I mean, who wrote the manifesto? Because we absolutely know through these recordings that he was shocked when Joe Spencer first met him. And okay, so you have Joe Spencer, right? He is a defense attorney. He is given the Walmart mass shooting case, right? Uh, Put away the horror of the whole thing. Put that away for a minute. Think about it. You are a defense attorney and you're given this massive case, right? You are walking into history. You are making yourself a name. You are, you know, lawyers dream of these big cases, right? He's walking into history. And what is the first thing that he wants on record? The first thing that he puts on record as an attorney for the defense of his client, Patrick Crusius, with an open wallet, because the application, you know, everything is going to be paid for by the taxpayers, state and federal. The taxpayers are going to have to pay it, even though it might take years and years and years, because it might become debt, and they have to pay interest on the debt for this crime, right? For this crime. So the people get a double dose of crime, double dose, triple dose, and when there's interest, that's, you just multiply that crime. So they're having to pay for it. It's an open wallet. That means open checkbook. Sorry, open checkbook was the words, and millions of dollars flowing in. And so what does he put down in the record as meeting Richard and recording it? I mean, not Richard. Sorry, Patrick Crusius. What does he put on record when he meets Patrick Crusius for the first time, and he's recording that he's saying this stuff? Hi, I'm Joe Spencer, and I have a brown ass, and I'm Hispanic. You got a problem with that? Let's put it out on the line. What? What? So I did make a meme. And of course, in the recording, the answer from Patrick Crusius, um, that Joe Spencer admitted was, no, I'm not a racist. And this is just 2 days after. So this autistic, severely with a severe mental health condition, right? With all all kinds of problems, because there's things that come from being that severely handicapped. Special education, you have language problems, you have sensitivities to any kind to certain frequencies, and you have fine motor coordination problems. There's all kinds. And he's he he's saying, I'm not a racist. 2 days after, 2 days after. And he's supposed to be so enraged that he writes a manifesto. Can you imagine a young man that age writing a manifesto? I mean, they have to really be, in it. This is, he didn't write that. Okay, this is our opinion. And of course, saying that he was autistic, and we were right about that. And that Richard had been murdered, we were right about that. And, so we've been right? We've been right. All of this, 325,000 missing children that are now mostly dead. We've been right about that. And they were hounding us, saying, "Oh no, that happened then, and this and that. It wasn't at the same time." That Richard was a whistleblower. that Dallas Hart is Richard's platoon leader. They were like, no, no, no. Now we know he was absolutely Richard's platoon leader. Um, so, we've been right. And with this whole thing, uh, with Patrick Crusius and Joe Spencer, I think we're going to be right about this, that Joe Spencer knew all along, and Patrick Crusius also, that he didn't write that manifesto, that he's not the one that uploaded it. So who did? Right? Who did? That's a good question. And who did the shootings? How did these people get these shots, and where are the bullets? And there's just so many things wrong with this. And because there's so many things wrong with this, are you telling me that a lawyer like Joe Spencer, that gets even the case of the Walmart mass shooting case, walks into history, doesn't understand what's going on? That he himself doesn't understand what's going on with all of this evidence? And all he cares about is, telling Patrick Crusius the color of his behind? Trying to be uh, vile, vulgar, right? And then also so unprofessional and so, like, what word? Haughty, bold. I need a good adjective for what that displays, because it clearly tells you about what was he making a joke out of all of this? Was he making a joke out of it? Out of, getting taxpayers to pay him millions of dollars to participate in this fraud and obstruct justice. Obstruct justice, absolutely. So, and Joe Spencer has a huge part to play in this. His part with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is huge, and with Leilani Hart, it's huge. And it seems that he is in for a lot of trouble, because how can he keep his law license? How can he be anybody? How can he be a defense attorney after something like this? Would anybody want him? He's worse than an enemy. Um, and then what is he going to reveal? There's a lot of energy going around, right? And that energy is called the new appointments by President Trump. And Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, when I heard and read that, and Rob read that, because, we lived in Florida. We absolutely were keeping track of him and Marco Rubio, and absolutely, y'all, Matt Gaetz as Attorney General it's such a huge improvement over what we've had. What we've had, we've been so short circuit. So, anyway, that's just my opinion. That we have been given the shaft with appointments, and that it was really for more of their ideology than it was to defend the Constitution, that their appointments were for their ideology, to push their ideology instead of to defend the Constitution. And, Matt Gaetz is, his own man. It's going to be very interesting. Um, Yeah, and then of course we have Pete Hegseth, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Hegseth, um, being the Secretary of Defense. What a change from Austin, right? It's and people are going crazy. You know why they're going crazy? Because they're up to no good. They are so fearful. They are so fearful because they've been caught with their criminal activity exposed, and it is exposed. And you know why it's exposed? Because they got messy. They got very bold. They've been doing it for a long time. This whole thing with child traffic, with all the criminal trafficking, with all the criminal trafficking, from the weapons to the ammunition to the equipment to the drugs to the human to the child corn, to all of that, they've been doing that for a long time, and they've been getting away with it, and they're just so outwardly brazen and bold, and now they're caught, and especially El Paso, especially Fort Bliss. And that was called out first by the new border czar. So he absolutely identified El Paso and Fort Bliss as the nucleus of the problem. And it is. It is. And so that is, and because of that, we've been getting some information. We, a national media um, individual has reached out to us, which is, um, it'll be interesting to see how, because we don't really trust the media, right? And they know it. But this story is so big. It is so big. The cover up is so big. And it's such a huge story, and it's breaking. So, well, we broke the story and we broke the Walmart case. But now it's time for the media to break it. And the other information that we're getting is that, you know, a key individual in this case, um, yeah, is up for uh, one of these positions, could be appointed. Wowzer. Wowzer. That is, so pray that that happens. I mean, that is huge. That is huge. When you're up for these positions in this atmosphere of accountability, and you have been so wronged, you've been so wronged, and you know that a soldier, whistleblower soldier, was so wronged, so wronged. It's at the level of treason. It's at the level of the death penalty. And I've been saying that for a while. But this is absolutely a death penalty case. And I think that that's why um, they're kind of letting us know things, right? Um, just to acclimate the level of this crime, what can be the penalties of it, and, so many other, um, I don't want to say consequences, but with the media stories and things like this, um, which, we're seeking because we want our son's remains. And the media could get us our son's remains for us. They absolutely could, by running a story and asking where are his remains, and asking us for the evidence that we have that confirms that the military has Richard's remains. And they could absolutely expose this dereliction of duty, this horrific situation that we're in. And another way is, when a key member, a key individual of this Find Richard Halliday case, really it's the murder case, Richard Halliday's murder case. That's what I should call it. Richard Halliday's murder case. And that's where we're at right now, is that's what's going forward, is Richard Halliday's murder case. And if a key individual in that case is so prominent and so eligible to be appointed by President Trump as part of his administration, that would be very, very good news for us. So that is huge, huge news. The other is discovering documentation with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and the fraud that was perpetrated with, this whole Walmart mass shooting and Joe Spencer's influence with, he's so influential because he's the defense attorney, right? And then you have Leilani Hart and her interference, her false witness statement. The whole system was weaponized against those that wanted to come forward, those that did come forward, our family, Richard. So very, very clearly, it was like a group plotting and planning together for this cover up. The cover up is really something else, let me tell you. And I think there's it's really difficult to let everyone know what's going on behind the scenes because we want to protect what is happening, right? Because there is the institutional support, the ongoing active investigations are coming into real play now to get further accountability. So you have actual appointees that are known to want to be tough and want to hold these people accountable for their wrongdoing, and even realizing, because with the Obama administration in there, and I know Biden was president, but it's the Obama administration. They don't recognize things as being wrong necessarily, right? They don't. They're so idealistic, or whatever. They have their ideals that they're trying to push forward. And if it doesn't fit with the law, it doesn't matter to them, right? That's very simple. I mean, very clear what they've tried to do. And so, this is more geared to defending the Constitution, like Pete Hegseth, like Matt Gaetz, like Mr. Holman, like, all these other appointees that are coming forward. And if they're like thinkers, that this was wrong to have a soldier whistleblower be murdered on Fort Bliss in July of 2020 for whistleblowing, then they are absolutely going to take action. So, especially when he's whistleblowing against trafficking, criminal trafficking. So, we're in a very good position right now, and just pray for this key Team Find Richard Halliday member, that they will be appointed um, or get, yeah, um, that would be awesome. And that would move this forward. The other thing is so many of the music videos they were doing good, and then right when you get traction, they shadow ban you. So please share all of the information. Please share it with all your friends and family because this case is walking into history. It is so big, and it will. Richard, what he did is to save. It's going to save so many children in the future. It is going to hold these people accountable. It is going to make the border safer. It's going to help Juarez, Mexico, um, hopefully Mexico, and hopefully the United States, and families, right? Families, and it's going to help our military be stronger because to report this fraud, waste, and abuse, to report the taking our arms and our our weapons and our ammunition and all that, the fraud, waste, and abuse, um, not following SOP in the barracks, making life miserable for our volunteer soldiers in the barracks, um, the keeping them drunk all the time. Okay, well, you're young, so you can party. We'll bring in the drugs. We'll bring in the young girls, and we'll bring in the um, alcohol, and that's defending the Constitution, right? No, to bring back honor, to bring back duty, to bring back the esprit de corps, the Medal of Honor ethos, to bring back self respect, and not make our volunteer sons and daughters susceptible to bribery because they bring in these young girls, and the young girls, they have these phones and they record the seduction, right? They record the seduction and then they post it, or they use it against them, blackmail and stuff like that. And I think um it's just, and they tried to do that with Richard. I'm absolutely convinced with Boleyn. I'm absolutely convinced it's seemingly, apparently, and he didn't fall for it, and that's why he made that video and sent it to Boleyn, because that's where we got the video, is from her, saying, "I rather burn my money than spend it on whores and blow." Now, why would Richard send that to Boleyn, right? Why would he send that to Boleyn when he knows exactly what she's up to? It was a clear message. It was a very clear message. So, yeah, they tried to trap him, and the only way they could trap him was their abusing their power. General Clem Cower abusing his power, General Michael Garrett abusing his power, and a code red, um, First Sergeant Jay Paulin and First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, um, being derelict or abusing their power. Um, Captain David Park, I haven't mentioned his name too much. Um, he was just as cold blooded as any. He's so cold blooded. Never came to meet us, and he was there. Um, so cold blooded. They are all facing, in my hope, in my prayers, maximum punishment for what they have done, and they tried to trap Richard. David Park, Captain David Park, admitted that they were just going over everything trying to get him, and they couldn't. He was just so beautiful, and the only way they could get him was to isolate him, was to use their powers to forcibly remove him from the barracks room, and use the institution itself to do the cover up of a dismemberment. Um, it's sickening. It is so sickening. And yet, yeah, they need to be absolutely court-martialed. And of course, Millie too. You know, a lot of people are asking me, "Do you think Millie should be court-martialed?" Oh yeah, he should be court-martialed. So should McConville. So should Sean Bernabe. So should Donna Martin. So should Patrick Matlock. So there's a lot. There's a lot. So thank you so much. And I don't know how they're going to handle it because there's so many. And of course, in the military, you have to take orders. Um, but you don't have to take unlawful orders. But when the Department of Justice and the your commander in chief are in on this, you know, and are retaliatory, it's very hard. Um, we absolutely understand. It was that 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021. 2021 was the worst year. You know, it was the worst year. So much retaliation, so much insanity going on. So, yeah, we absolutely understand. So that's why these appointments are so helpful. And just pray that um, someone very, very close to this case, very close to this case, also gets appointed to this administration. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night and please share. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Anicia.